A few weeks ago, San Francisco voters said yes, overwhelmingly, 77% of the vote, to a $535 million bond for earthquake safety. That money is going toward fire stations, police stations, a 110-year-old bus yard, and the water system firefighters rely on if a big quake hits. That's the public side of the story. Cameras, ballot measures, a mayor cutting a ribbon somewhere in a few years. But there's a private side to this that almost nobody's talking about. Right now, in this city, there's a list of thousands of older concrete buildings that engineers say could fail in a serious earthquake. A lot of them are condos. And unlike the fire stations, nobody's writing a $535 million check to fix those. The owners are on the hook. All of them. So today, let's actually walk through what's happening, why it's happening now, and what it could mean if you own, rent, or are thinking about buying a condo in this city. San Francisco has a serious earthquake problem, and it's not new. About 60% of the buildings in this city were built before 1940, long before modern earthquake codes existed. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates there's roughly a 72% chance of a magnitude 6.7 or larger earthquake hitting the Bay Area before 2043. That's not a maybe. That's the working assumption city planners are building around. Back in 2013, the city dealt with one category of risk first: wood frame apartment buildings with a weak or open ground floor, usually because of tuck-under parking. That's called the mandatory soft story retrofit program, and those deadlines have already passed. If you own one of those buildings, you were already required to fix it. The newer, bigger problem is concrete buildings. In May 2025, San Francisco's Board of Supervisors passed legislation to actually go out and identify which concrete and tilt-up buildings in the city are vulnerable. As of this year, the city's own count puts the number at approximately 3,700 older concrete buildings, built before modern codes, some of which have real potential to fail in a major quake. Here's the part that matters for anyone who owns a unit in one of these buildings. Right now, retrofitting is voluntary, not mandatory. The city can identify your building as a risk and send you a screening form, but it can't force you to fix it yet. This is where it gets a little frustrating, honestly. California recently passed a state law called AB 130, aimed at speeding up housing construction by freezing local building code updates. The side effect is that cities like San Francisco, which want to pass a mandatory retrofit law for these concrete buildings, may have to wait until that statewide freeze lifts before they can actually require anyone to do the work. So, you've got a known risk, a known list of buildings, and a law working against the city's ability to force action on it. What San Francisco has done instead is roll out a voluntary path. If a building owner gets their concrete building evaluated and retrofitted to meet the city's new technical standards, they get something valuable in return: a 20-year exemption from any future mandatory retrofit ordinance. In other words, do it now on your own terms or risk having to do it later on the city's terms, possibly with a tighter deadline. Some owners are taking that deal. One real example is the Nob Hill condominiums at 1170 Sacramento Street, a 19-story building from 1963 with 71 units sitting above 3 levels of underground parking. The owners brought in structural engineers, and the retrofit there was fully self-funded by the residents. No city bailout, 71 people splitting the bill among themselves. This is usually where people's eyes glaze over, but stick with me, because this is the part that determines whether you can actually afford to stay in your home. Retrofitting an older concrete building typically runs somewhere between $50 and $200 per square foot, depending on how severe the structural problems are. Compare that to a simpler tilt-up concrete building, which runs closer to $10 per square foot. On a small building, that's a manageable number. On a 19-story tower like Nob Hill, that's easily millions of dollars, split across however many units are in the building. For the older wood-frame, soft-story buildings, the nonprofit planning group Spur found the average retrofit cost is about $104,000 for a building with 5 to 14 units, and around $158,500 for a building with 15 to 20 units.
Now, here's where it turns from an engineering bill into a legal risk. When an HOA needs to raise this kind of money fast, they levy what's called a special assessment. Under California's Davis-Sterling Act, if that assessment is bigger than 5% of the association's annual budget, it needs approval from a majority of the members first. Once it passes, every single owner owes their share, whether they voted yes, voted no, or didn't vote at all. And if you can't pay it, the HOA has to give you 30 days written notice before they can put a lien on your unit. Interest on what you owe can run up to 12% a year, and if you fall behind by $1,800 or more, or you're delinquent for 12 months, the HOA can actually start foreclosing on your home, not the bank, your own HOA board. That's written directly into California's Civil Code, Section 5720.
If you're a current owner, your options are pretty limited once an assessment like this hits. You pay it outright, you take out a loan against your equity. Some owners use a financing tool called PACE, which gets repaid through your property tax bill instead of a normal loan, stretched out over up to 30 years. Or if none of that works, you sell, usually at a discount, because now you're legally required to disclose the unfunded seismic work to any buyer. If you're thinking about buying a condo in San Francisco, this is exactly why real estate advisors are telling people to actually read the HOA's reserve study and meeting minutes before writing an offer. Unfunded seismic work is now sitting right next to pending lawsuits and high delinquency rates as one of the top red flags lenders look for. If a building has too many of those flags, banks start hesitating on financing. FHA and VA loan approval gets harder, and that shrinks the pool of future buyers, which can drag down what your unit is worth, whether the retrofit ever actually happens or not.
As of today, the fire stations and police stations are getting their money. That Prop A bond passed overwhelmingly last month. The public side of earthquake safety is funded and moving. The private side, the condos and concrete buildings owned by regular people, is still sitting in that voluntary gray zone, waiting on a statewide building code freeze to lift before the city can even try to make retrofits mandatory. Some owners, like the ones at Nob Hill, aren't waiting around. They're doing the work now to lock in that 20-year exemption before the rules potentially get stricter. For everyone else, it's a waiting game, and the bill doesn't get smaller the longer people wait.
So that's where this actually stands. San Francisco just funded earthquake safety for its own buildings, but for the thousands of concrete condo buildings owned by everyday people, there's no bond covering that bill. It's owners against a special assessment, a strict timeline, and a legal process that can end in a lien on their own home. If you found this useful, subscribe for more of these breakdowns, and drop a comment if you own or are looking at a building in San Francisco, because I know a lot of you are dealing with this exact situation right now.